Part of the reason we celebrate our seniors is because they are on the brink of embarking into the world as ambassadors and champions of Sioux Falls and our public schools. But sometimes a student comes to us at a point where we can't really take credit for who they are or what they've accomplished, and rather gratefully accept that they may have changed us for the better. In this episode of Senior Spotlight, we travel to Roosevelt High School, where one senior's leap of faith has opened opportunities not just for him, but for everyone he's in contact with. When you run 70 to 80 miles per week, you have a lot of time to think.
It's weird. You get a lot of weird looks when you tell people that you just competitively run. You know, a lot of head turns. Why? I have a friend who goes to Yale, and every time I tell her that I have a competition coming up, she's like, "You should stop. Like, why do you even run? It's terrible." And I still haven't really found out why I enjoy it so much. It might be the people. It might just be the feeling you get when you cross the finish line of satisfaction that you put everything behind you for however long the race was, long or short, and you've accomplished your goals or not accomplished. So you get to move forward then and just know that, you know, every single moment that you're racing or you're competing is moving towards that ultimate goal of qualifying for state or, you know, qualifying for something else.
As a senior leader on the Roosevelt cross-country team, Jacob Zweifel is grateful to be here today.
The season started off really great. I ran all summer, but unfortunately, I ended up having a stress fracture in my left foot, so I didn't get to run for the first entire month of the season. And I'm finally back in, and I got to participate in my first race, and I didn't do as well as I wanted to, but it still went okay. I'm just happy to be back running. But the team's doing really well. We started off a little rough, but you know, we've really come together, and even just from last year to this year, it's become a really tight-knit group. Just, you know, learning all the new faces, and especially the new freshmen. So it's been a lot of fun. Yeah, I was actually running too much, so I ended up having a stress fracture in my left foot behind my middle toe, and they took an X-ray and they looked at it and they were like, "Oh, yep, that's a stress fracture." So that took me out of the season for a good month and a half or so.
A stress fracture from running too much so that he can excel at the sport of running sounds right on par for anyone who knows Jacob.
I see him quite a bit often. He is in the classroom next to me taking AP statistics. I've also had the opportunity to write some letters of recommendation for him, and he's also a member of the National Honor Society, to which I'm the advisor. So we've been meeting this year, so I've gotten to see him quite a bit. He continues to challenge himself and stay involved, and a lot of students their senior year kind of pull back a little bit and, you know, take a little bit of a breather, and he is just full steam ahead. And you can tell that he's got some goals and ambitions for college. I think he'd like to go to an Ivy League school, and there's nothing about him that says to me, "Oh, I mean, he won't get to that goal." I know for sure that he'll do something great when he leaves here in the spring.
AP Statistics is just the tip of the iceberg this year academically.
Right now, I have 4 AP classes. I'll have 5 second semester. I have AP Bio, and then I have AP Lit and Comp, AP Physics 2, and AP Stats. And then next semester I'll have AP Government. So it's not too bad usually. Typically, my homework load is anywhere from 1 to 4 hours. Weekends are sometimes pretty stressful with work and everything, but I usually get it done. Sometimes I'm cranking out homework assignments before the next class, just making sure I have everything up to date and I'm not falling behind too much. But it can be stressful. Some nights I'm up until like 2, 3 in the morning, making sure everything's done for the next day. You know, setting out my clothes for cross-country practice, making sure that every single assignment's done just the way I want it to be.
There's also concert choir.
Concert choir is a lot of fun. I didn't think I was going to make concert choir at first last year, but I sang and I tried out for the position, or for a part in the choir, and I made it, and it's been a lot of fun. I'm definitely not the best person there, but I'm also not the worst. So, you know, I just enjoy singing for fun. But it's not terrible. And usually our group sounds pretty good. Last year was by far the most incredible choir I've been a part of, and we'll see if this year can top that, but I don't know. I have a lot of really good friends in the group too, so.
and more activities.
So I'm also in Yak and Salsa, and Yak is actually the leadership group that's associated with Salsa, and I think that's probably one of my favorite groups that I'm in. With Yak, we get to really talk about the different groups that we want to come and talk to Salsa about different volunteer opportunities throughout the Sioux Empire, and it really involves students in volunteer work and really prompts students to get out into the community and make a difference here for themselves and just in their life. And I think it's really important to be a part of a community, especially because in such a unique time as now, where everyone is an individual, but we're also part of something more, that it's important to be in the community and making sure you're a part of it and making a difference.
When he's not at school, he's often at work.
I actually work at the Premier Center. So I took over from my boss when she quit, and I was kind of the manager for the entire suites over at the Premier Center. And ever since, I've kind of been like an unofficial supervisor. So like when my boss isn't there, I just kind of oversee and make sure everything goes smoothly for events up in the suites, which is a lot of fun.
And this spring, Jacob will help lead the track team as a hurdler, like he did last year. At this point in the story, Jacob could be any one of dozens of Rough Riders, excelling at school, involved in activities, and taking a leadership role in many of them. But here's the thing. 2 years ago, Jacob wasn't a Roosevelt student.
I know Jacob from last spring at track season. He came to us from Sioux Falls Lutheran. He came over, I don't know, I guess at the beginning of the year. Signed up for hurdles, and didn't know anything about him until I saw him doing some drills and some workouts, and I liked how he ran. I liked his dedication, and he ended up actually signing up for hurdles, and so I got the chance to work with him for 3 months and finally got him qualified for state for the hurdles. In order to be a hurdler, you got to have a little bit of speed. I mean, with him being in cross country, he had some endurance, so that helped a lot. And he's not short. He's got some height to him, so that also helped in the long run. And he's just coachable. He's diligent in his workouts, and he always wants to learn and get better. And his dedication really pushed him past any goals that he probably had set for himself last year. And so when he qualified for state, it was just like a new world opened up, and he just found a new love, I think, in hurdles.
In middle school, I started off at a Lutheran middle school on Minnesota. And then I transferred, or after middle school, I moved into the high school that's affiliated with the middle school. And I stayed there for the first 2 years because I really liked the family and the community that I was with there. And I just thought it was going to be a nice fit for me, but I really felt unchallenged. And my first grade teacher really said it well. With like, if you're unchallenged, you're not gonna excel in life and you're not gonna have a fun time. And life just becomes monotonous. So I decided that I was going to change schools, and there were some familial aspects that changed that as well. So I felt as though it was an important move in my life to challenge myself and to ease some financial issues with my family. So I moved to Roosevelt. I actually filled out my application like a couple weeks before school started and like confirmed that I was coming here. So it was really a last-minute decision, which was kind of stressful, but I had some friends help me decide that I wanted to come here over, Lincoln or like other schools in the area, because like the choir program is really incredible, and like the academics of the Sioux Falls School District are really incredible too.
I actually first heard Jacob's name when I saw his name on my roster for taking the AP Calculus exam. Not last year when I had him in school, but the year before. He was a student at Lutheran school, and their students get put on our roster, and so I saw this unknown name on my roster and I thought, oh, I wonder how they're gonna do. And he did fine, but then the next year he transferred to Roosevelt and I got to have him in my calculus class, and he took the test again. It's unusual in the sense that I don't think a lot of students would leave a situation that they're very comfortable in. He was a leader at Lutheran school, started a lot of clubs, just in a lot of activities there, had a lot of good core friend groups there. And he chose to come to Roosevelt to challenge himself. And not a lot of students have that, that maturity academically to say, I'm going to leave a really good situation where I'm kind of the big fish in the pond and go to Roosevelt to challenge myself and possibly, you know, not do as well, but seek out that extra academic rigor. It
was a pretty big change.
The largest class I'd ever been in was a class of about 20 kids. And I'm still in contact with people from my elementary school, so it was always a pretty tight-knit community, and you know, we never really stepped too far outside. But now I think my class is about 450 some kids, coming from a school of 40 kids. So my class was 10 kids, which is a big jump. It was a big leap of faith.
But one that seemed very easy from the outside.
He fit in seamlessly. I mean, from day one, I think it was because he was already involved in the cross-country part, so he already knew some kids, and then he took some AP classes, so he knew quite a few kids within the school. And I mean, he fit in my hurdle, we call it the hurdle family. He fit into them beautifully. Jacob is a hard worker. I mean, he doesn't take no for an answer. He doesn't settle for just mediocrity. He always strives to get better, yet be like a mentor to the younger, newer kids coming in. Even though last year he was a new kid himself, but by looking at him and how he acted, you would never have guessed he was the first year at Roosevelt.
You know, I let them choose their seats, so day one, you kind of get an idea of where students are and how much they value your class, and he sat front and center. Because he had been exposed to the content before, he was able to kind of expand our discussions, add to things. I could regularly look at him and kind of say, you know, is there any kind of different mnemonics or things that you learned when you touched on this topic last year, and he'd be able to add some cool things that would make good connections for the other students in the class. So not just a wonderful student, but I learned from him as well. And what's so interesting is, I mean, we have such a big community, and yet he came in his junior year, and I think you could ask any teacher in the hallway and they would know of him. He's a very visual component on the cross-country team, so you'll see him running around the streets surrounding Roosevelt. He has a very distinct kind of look about him. He kind of looks like a Prefontaine running out there, which is interesting. And he's jumped right in and gotten involved. So despite kind of being the outsider coming in, that did not in any way hinder him socially. He jumped right in. He's got another great friend group and peer group here. And I think students and teachers look at him as a leader. You know, I can stand up and give my experience on the AP Calculus test and my knowledge of it, but having a student in class who had been through a version of the class before, taken the test the year prior, it was just one more resource for them. It kind of instilled confidence in them that, hey, what I'm saying is it actually is how it's going to be. Or he could say, hey, last year's test had that on there in this way. And so I think for the students, it was really reaffirming to have a student who had recently been through this and then was going through it again with them to say, yeah, no, that is what we're going to see. Or, yep, this is the level of rigor we need to be at.
The secret to successfully going from a school of 40 students to a school with 2,400? For Jacob, it just meant being himself.
I just kind of dove headfirst into everything that I was coming to. You know, just like I said, I took a leap of faith and tackled every challenge that I came to face with, and haven't looked back. It's been an incredible opportunity, and I don't think I would ever change it, really.
It's the same advice he'd give other students in his shoes, or even freshmen entering Roosevelt.
I didn't really know anyone here at Roosevelt, which is really, really intimidating. But I met some people on a choir trip that I went on, and they really influenced me to come to Roosevelt to begin with, but they also really got me involved in the choir program. And like beyond that, I just, you know, kept putting myself out there. I was like, well, I might not be able to get this position, but you know, I'll write my name down and I'll try out for it anyway. And I think, you know, it's really, like, it devastates your confidence a little bit when you don't get elected, like the president of the next group or something like that. But even so, I think it's fun just to put yourself out there and really get, you know, your name out there. And that's really helped me just, you know, like oh, I'll join salsa. I don't know what it is, but sure, write my name on the slip of paper and I'll go. Or sure, I'll join DECA. Sure, I'll join cross country, track. I mean, it's really been hard keeping up with all of them, but I've made it work. I think the most important is just to really get yourself out there. Like if you're gonna be shy, even if you're like a super introverted person, just, you know, putting yourself out there, putting your name on one club or putting your name on one sport, you're still gonna have, you know, the confidence to move forward and really initiate your transition to high school and becoming a more confident person in who you are. And I think a lot of the clubs that I've joined really helped me hammer out who I was as a person, and, you know, moving forward, they really helped me define what I want to do with my life and the person I want to become.
It helps that Roosevelt fosters relationships and involvement in any way you're interested in.
I can think back to so many examples, but students from smaller towns or smaller schools, they tend to be in everything. They're the captain of the debate team and the football team, and, you know, they need everyone to participate, and that's wonderful. But at the same time, they don't have as many students, so the variety of activities is much less. So at Roosevelt, and I'd have to look up the numbers, but we have hundreds of clubs. I mean, there's clubs and activities for every single type of interest, and if there isn't one, you can start one. And you can find a faculty member that will be the advisor for that. So I think it's kind of a variety is the spice of life. If you come to Roosevelt, yes, it's a huge school, but rather than viewing it as you're one of, you know, 2,300 or 2,400, you're a number, view it as your odds are really good that you're going to find other people that have similar interest to you. And so you'll have a spot. Whereas if you go and join a school of 15 kids in a graduating class, it's a much smaller odd that you're going to find people with like interests. And so, you know, he came in, found some, you know, kids in choir, drama kids, cross-country kids, kids in some of those accelerated and AP classes, and he just jumped right in, and that was his niche. And any student that comes here would probably find a similar situation, whether it's academia or extracurriculars or just, you know, comic book club or poetry club, or you've got Dungeons and Dragons club. I mean, there's so many different things for kids to get involved in here.
One of the things coming up for Jacob will be the track season.
I'm actually expecting and requiring him to take on a lot of roles this year, not only qualifying for state again, but no, I totally expect him to be qualified earlier this season and not put so much stress on himself later in the season. And then we're also looking at maybe doing a group leader or a group mentor where people kind of check into him and take on a role of keeping all the kids in my hurdle group accountable.
Having Jacob there to inspire his underclassmen teammates means a lot.
It's a huge confidence booster. To have a kid, a teammate, have that much confidence in you, have that much belief in you, and we help each other. We criticize, I guess you'd call it, each other in a positive manner. Not to put anybody down, but he's easy to talk to. He's easy to take points from because he's been there, and he's gone through struggles with, you know, shin splints or leg problems or knee, you know, whatever, and he's gone through those and he's worked through them. And so having a younger kid look up to an older teammate, that's what we strive. That's how I build my program. Is leaning on each other. And that's why we call it a hurdle family, because we build on each other, we lean on each other, we love each other, we support each other, and that's how Jacob is.
After the track season, it's anyone's guess, but unsurprisingly, Jacob is aiming high.
I actually just finished my application to Questbridge, which is for financially disadvantaged youth. So they actually have the opportunity to attend top-tier colleges. So hopefully I'll get admitted. The results of that come out in like 2 weeks or so. So I'm really hoping, fingers crossed, but I'm not really worried. Like, I've always just kind of, you know, money will come, and if it doesn't happen, then, you know, it's okay. But I'm planning on attending a 4-year college. I haven't really decided. If I stay local it'd be Augustana, but I'm really hoping to get into Questbridge because that would open tons of opportunities. But in college, I'm planning on majoring in physics. It's been an incredible class. My #1 choice by far would be Stanford if I did get admitted. But beyond that, I'm not really fussy. The opportunity that Questbridge gives to students is really just something that I'm there for, and I think is an incredible thing altogether, because like I said, it opens so many opportunities to people who just haven't felt as though they've had those opportunities in life. And I feel as though just being a part or being a finalist in the selection process would be an incredible opportunity in and of itself.
For someone who had a pretty unique pathway for getting to Roosevelt,
especially coming from Beersford, I drive 30 minutes every day, and it's a little stressful.
he has certainly made an impression here.
Knowing Jacob, and like I said, I've only known him for a season, 1 year, and he and I are constantly, even on off season, are constantly talking to each other and setting up goals and setting up priorities and looking at the future. And there is no limit to Jacob. I mean, he's exactly what you want in a student athlete. High achiever in the classroom, high achiever on the track. Coaches love him, teammates love him. I mean, he's an all-around good athlete and good kid.
And the most unique thing about him is just taking that leap of faith and leaving Lutheran school. And I think it's just so cool that not only did he do that, but then he came here and became a leader in a school of 2,300 kids. I mean, that's kind of remarkable. There's kids that have grown up together since kindergarten and still maybe haven't quite found their voice. And he has a very clear sense of self and a very determined, he really knows the direction he wants to go. You know, at Roosevelt we have a saying, we are Roosevelt, we are one. And I think that just speaks to, we do have such a diverse population here. People that have grown up together, people like Jacob who join us kind of at the tail end. And yet there's something for everyone. We all support each other. And he has embodied that, joining in on the Roosevelt community, being a part of that greater good, moving in one direction together. And I think he just kind of embodies that. We are Roosevelt, we are one spirit.
There are still plenty of opportunities to see more from Jacob at Roosevelt High School. Check out their website to see the calendar of upcoming events, including cross-country meets, choir performances, and the spring track and field schedule.